Welcome to Mastering Your Monday podcast. And this is the show that talks about boundaries, work-life balance, and living a life where you have control. This is for highly driven professionals who want to develop a more balanced professional and personal life and live out their true values. Those who are ready to grab the reins and change the status quo. The professional who's ready to have a life again and who's ready to take a stand, living in a way that you feel respected, valued, and fulfilled each and every day. We talk about topics like setting boundaries, taking risks, life management, and all the tips, techniques, and strategies to help you master your Monday, one day at a time. So in my world, this happens all the time. My mom called me the other day, right? And I mean, she was blowing my phone up. I couldn't answer right then. So I called her back as quickly as I could because I knew it had to be important the way she was blowing my phone up. So she proceeds to tell me about some email that she had gotten that said she had to get some insurance right away because hers was about to expire and she can't find that email then now. In fact, the whole program is gone. Her email isn't on her computer. It disappeared on her computer, and that stupid computer is acting up again, and she doesn't know what's wrong with it. So raise your hand if you've ever gotten a crazy call from a family member like this, right? Hey, Michelle O'Neill here. And I want you to know that I love a great conversation. So come on, pull up a chair, ringside that is, and let's talk the real deal today. The one time my not answering the phone could have cost my mom dearly. So let me get back into that story that I was just talking about early. So come to find out when we looked at that email, because I have access to her email that I can pull it up on my phone. I mean, on my phone or on my computer. I looked and I found her email. And what it was about a warranty for her car. And they were saying that her warranty had just expired or was getting ready to expire. And they were trying to encourage her to buy a new warranty. Now, it wasn't from her car place. It wasn't them that was trying to get her to get a new warranty. It was some warranty company, and they wanted her to pay this astronomical amount of money to make sure her car was covered in case anything went wrong. I had to tell her, Mom, ignore it. That's junk mail. They're trying to get you to get something that you don't need. Let's call your car people, okay? Now, this happens a lot now. As our parents get older, you know, we lose our hearing, we lose our sight. We also have more aches and pains, and all these things are going on with our bodies. But there's another thing going on too. And this is something that I just learned from one of my doctors when I was telling him that I wasn't hearing as well as I used to. And he told me, he said, it's not that you're not hearing well, your hearing is great. But as we get older, our cognitive message or neuron or whatever you call it, the way that message gets all the way to our brain, it slows down some. And so this is what happens as we get older, but what's also happening with our parents. So the things that they didn't grow up with or they don't understand, the processing of understanding that is totally different. So our cognitive understanding is actually slowing down. So things that we used to take care of, like our bills, the concept of paying things online is totally foreign. For my mom, she's always had her checkbook. She wrote a check. She makes sure she tracks everything in this book. She has this, what do you call it? This bill book, I guess you call that. She keeps track of all her bills every month, what she paid, where it went, what time, what day that she sent that bill out. All this is kept in a book for her. It's in written form, it's not on the computer. And not only that, She actually will sometimes go in and pay her bills right at the facility. Like she'll go to the electricity facility, she'll go to the bank or whatever to pay her bills. This is just the way they've always done it, the way she does it, and this is normal for them. So when I start talking to her about, Mom, you don't have to go in, especially with the pandemic going on. Mom, you don't have to go in there anymore. You can pay your bills online. The concept, well, how are they going to get my money? The check. Well, Mom, it comes right out of your, I don't want them to have access to my bank. And all this is totally foreign. Well, Mom, you can do auto pay. Auto pay? What do you mean? They just take the money out of my account every month and I don't have to tell them to take it out? Yeah, I'm not sure I feel comfortable with that. All this is new to them. So, one of the things that I help my mom understand is how you can pay these things online, how that you can make a choice between whether it comes out of your bank account or whether it comes out of your um, credit card, and that you have total control over that. And you have the option to get the bill by paper form still, or you can get it in your email. Well, we know which way that went, that she still wants everything paper form. And I totally get it because that's what she's familiar with. But just her knowing that there are options and that as she gets older, if you need to hand these things over, that you can. But the way you're doing it is now is fine. It's just different. And they're going to send you things different and they're going to talk about things differently. So feel free to call me and ask me what this means. But those are things that are different for our parents now. And then technology, oh my gosh, technology. What do we want to talk about first? Simple things like appliances, the coffee maker. Even I have an issue with the coffee maker. All the things that it does, you can preset it. It can do this, it can do that. I don't care. I just want to make coffee. Well, that's all my mom want to do. She want to make coffee. So, Mom, you have to measure this out. You have to put this amount in here. Then you have to make sure that this amount of water to this amount, all this is new to them. And then all these, this is a new machine. The microwave, how to figure out the microwave. And my favorite, I bought her an air fryer. Well, that's totally different from the way we used to fry things. So even small things like this, it's not that they don't have the ability to learn these new things, but they are new to them. And it's totally different from the way they grew up and the way they did things. So it's a new learning curve. My mom's a teacher or was a teacher. She knows how to learn. She's very smart. But these things are different. So I've taken the time to show her how the coffee maker works, to explain to her what's going on with the microwave, and to explain to her how to use the air fryer. Now she uses that air fryer all the time. In fact, she uses it more than I do. And it's a great thing. Okay. Another one that we put in the house, Alexa. Understanding Alexa. One of the funniest things I remember happening with Alexa was my mother has the TV up loud. And so if you've ever seen that commercial where someone puts the commercial on and they tell, and I just realized she's in here and I need to not say her name. So Echo, we're going to call her Echo. Well, they tell Echo to play a particular song. Well, that commercial was on. And my mom said she was in the other room and all of a sudden Echo just starts blaring this rock song. And she's like, I didn't know what had happened. I went running in there. Well, she had heard the commercial on TV because the TV was that loud. It said her name, Echo, and it played that song. So just explaining to her that you have to be careful what you say around this young lady, Echo. If not, she's going to pick up everything you say. So my mom's cure for this. Oh, I turn her off when I'm not in there. I just unplug her. But that's okay. You just have to remember to plug her back up. The phone. My mother beats her cell phone up. The understanding of that the cell phone feels the heat in your finger, and that's all you have to do is touch it, escapes her. So what does she do? She takes the phone and she beats it. She hits it with her hand. And if you could see me now, I'm hitting my hand with my finger, and you probably hear it. But that's how she does her phone. The understanding of how that cell phone works is totally foreign to them. And finally, the computer. We already talked about the computer. The email. Well, it's not that the email disappears, it's not that the printer doesn't work. It's the operator error, as I call it. It's the clicking on the wrong thing. It's moving your mouse to the wrong place and clicking something and it disappears. It's still there. We just have to find it. And sometimes I physically have to go over there to find it. Well, there are different things that we can do to make this easy. Sometimes she says the printer isn't working. The thing is understanding the changes and how things are done now. And for a lot of our parents, it doesn't make sense because it's something that they've never done before. They don't want to feel like they're losing control of their lives. And when you have all these new things, just hitting you all at once, it causes frustration and fear. It's a fear of the unknown, a fear that maybe I'm losing it. I don't have it the way I used to have it. These things are just confusing me. And sometimes that comes out in anger or just what I call super feistiness. Because one of my mother's favorite saying is, I am, because I'm not telling her age, I am so many years old, and it is too late for me to try to learn something now. She'll tell me in a minute, I am so many years old and I'm not doing it. So I get it. And that's her super feistiness. You know, what we need to do is find out how we can talk to them or how we can make it easier. Sometimes they even ask you to do things for them, but a lot of times we don't understand the underlying reason of why they're asking. One of the things I see my mom is always ask me, can you get that for me? Or can you do that for me? And before, my first reaction would be, what do you mean? Why can't she get it? Why can't she do that? But they don't wanna tell you simple things like, "It hurts my knees when I bend down." So now when I realize she's asking me to get something for her under the cabinet, it's probably because it hurts her to get down there and get it. When she asks me to reach for something, probably because she doesn't wanna stand on a stool or something and possibly fall and hurt herself. And I learned to reframe my thinking at what's really going on here. What's the underlying reason that she's starting to ask me to do stuff? When I'm there, she says, can you fix the coffee for me? Because she didn't want to have to think about it and figure it out. And I'm fine with that. So be really in tune to what your parents or the elderly people in your lives are asking you, and understanding that there really is an underlying reason why they're asking that. And then sometimes they ask for help, but they want to lead the way, and they don't understand that where things are different or that things are different now. They're thinking in the mindset of the way it used to be, and then you're having to take all that time to explain to them, well, mom, it doesn't work that way, and this is how that works now. Back to our explanation of the bill thing, how the companies are writing, and the companies aren't taking that into consideration too. Let me say that. I have to say they're how do I say, they are doing their advertisement and their comments, or they're writing their flyers to who their main customer is, but they're not taking in consideration that everyone doesn't understand. And I get that. They have to write to the bulk of their audience. They have to write to who most of their audience is. But there's a small percentage of their audience that is getting left out, and that's our elderly. So, one of the things I make sure my mother understands that it's okay to ask for help. And then I take the time to explain what's different and why it's different. And here's a big one here. I ask her, what do you want to do? What do you feel more comfortable about? And here are different options. These are ways that we can look at it. Here are your options. What would you feel more comfortable doing? And that's how we choose things in her lives now. So there are certain areas of concern that you may want to consider or address during this time when our parents are aging or they're more elderly in our lives. There's family support. There's always your siblings or other people in the family that can help and go and check on them from time to time, or just make sure, or that that if you can't be there, you can make that phone call and they can check on each other. In my mother's neighborhood, they're still neighbors. The neighbors know each other and they will check on each other. And I love that. Also, home safety. What are things that you can put in place to help them stay safe? Things that we never thought about growing up, opening the door, or people being dishonest when they come or trying to trick you when they come. We didn't see a lot of that growing up, but there's a lot of that going on now. So, different things you can do. Video cameras and things around the house to help protect them and make sure they're safe. One of the things I'm still trying to get my mom to do is get one of those help I fell and I can't get up. What do you call those things? The little thing that you wear around your neck. I can't even think what it's called. But one of those medical needs things to go around her neck. So if something does happen and we're not there, that she can call us or a medical attention can be alerted and be there for her. We also need to be concerned about their cognitive health. And so we need to also learn as much as we can on our end about their cognitive health. Mobility. What are things that are becoming harder for them? Are they walking the same? Are they starting to trip on their rugs that are around the house? Is that something we need to take up? Are they still, one of the things my mother still loves to do is she still waxes her floors. So my question is, Mom, maybe not wax it so shiny now because you want to have that traction. Because one of the things you'll find with your parents is they stop lifting up their feet as high as they used to. And this is because their joints and stuff are starting to hurt. So what are things that you can do around their house to help them out? Personal hygiene. Is it hard for them to get into the tub? If they have a tub, maybe you need to change that tub to a shower now that they can walk into. Are these things that are concerned? Do they need a bar in the shower now to hold on to, or maybe even a stool in the shower so they feel comfortable taking care of that personal hygiene? Is it hard for them to reach their back, uh, touch their back, or whatever? Maybe they need help there. Is there some device or something that could help them, even a back washer or whatever? So, all these things, meal prep. Is it getting harder for them to do meal prep? What things are they doing to make sure that there's enough done in time? Like my mother, she's freezer queen. So she'll fix a big meal, and then she'll section it out for small meals. So sometimes when she doesn't feel like cooking, she says, "Oh, I just grabbed such and such out of the freezer." Or I have vegetables and this in the freezer. I just grab that. So she preps stuff for herself for those days that she doesn't feel like doing it. And then it's so important that they still have that social interaction. My mom is forever on the phone, especially during the pandemic. She can't get out now. She used to go dancing at least twice a week, doing line dances, and she loved it. But now that the pandemic for this last year, she hasn't been able to do that. So when I asked her, Mom, just ask me to do stuff, she says, "Oh, no, girl, I got to walk around this house." She says, I need to walk up them stairs and stuff because I'm going to get my exercise. But not only that, she stays on the phone talking to her cronies, talking to her friends. They are on the phone all the time talking to each other. And I make sure that I call her at least once a day and we do a video call so we can see each other and talk to each other. So she's always like, "I can't see your face. Step back. What are you doing? Why are you eating?" But that's okay because we get that interaction. So, what are things that we can do moving forward? I always have to have something to talk about moving forward. So, we need to find out what their underlying fear is because we love them dearly and we need to continue to love them even deeper. But what are they afraid of happening? What is the fear of getting older? And for all of us, that's a fear because we start seeing things that normally used to be there totally dissipate and go away. And that doesn't feel good. We need to show compassion, cultivate patience. And that's a biggie for me. I have learned as I started really understanding what was going on with my mom, is I've grown to cultivate a better patience with her and understand that it's not it's not her being angry or feisty with me, but it's sometimes that fear playing out in her. And if you don't ask, they won't tell. So I always ask her, "What's going on with you, mom?" When she tells me about she has a doctor's appointment, well, I want to know everything that doctor said. I want to know her upcoming appointments. I want to know, hey, how are things with the bill? What did you do today? That's her first thing of our conversation is, "Hey, mom, what you do today?" And she tells me every bit of her day, and I love hearing it. But she also asks me, "What are the girls doing?" Which are my twin grandbabies. What are they doing? And I tell her everything that I've heard about them today. It's so important that they stay connected and feel connected. Find out where they're getting confused and offer to come in and make things easier, but allow them to still maintain some sense of control. Remember, I told you earlier how my mom is having a hard time getting stuff out of the bottom cabinet? So I said, "Mom, how about I put the plastic stuff that you use the most up top, right here in this cabinet, so you can reach it better? And put these things that are up here on this top shelf that you don't use anymore, let me put them down there in the cabinet because you don't use them anyway." Well, that was a fight because she still said no. She wanted her plastic down there and her glassware up there, but at least I gave her that option. And she decided to still wrangle with the plastic down the bottom, but that's okay. Ah, few more things I want to talk about is the need to know, they need to know that we will listen to them and take their needs and their concerns seriously and into consideration. The thing is that we shouldn't just bogart in their lives and change everything for them, but we should listen to them and see what they're willing to turn around or change. Give them choices where possible and find out what their priority is. One of the things when we were with my mom is we asked her, "What do you need us to do today? What?" And we always tell her, "Write it down, mom, so I know everything you want us to take care of." And she does. She writes it down. And sometimes we have longer time than others. So I say, "Okay, we got this much time. What do you need done today?" And she'll tell us. So that helps her feel like the things that are important to her are getting done, but it also allows her to set priorities and she feels that she's being taken care of. Finally, I want to give you some resources that so many of us in our family have used. Find a password store, like something like LastPass, or and make sure you check with your IT people because there are certain ones that are really good and some that aren't. But find a way because this notebook of keeping passwords, it ain't gonna work. I'm telling you, it doesn't work. Mom doesn't remember half of her passwords. And so I got to keep all her passwords, or my sister or someone. We have to keep her passwords. So the thing is, find out a way to store your passwords and find a better way of keeping passwords. And when you change them, make sure that conversation is had. Notebook. My mother writes everything in her notebook. Remember, I told you she had one for her bills? She has a record for her bills, her bill book. But she also has a notebook that she just keeps with her throughout the day that when things come to mind, something she wants to talk to me or my sister or my brother about, she just jots it down so that when she's talking to us on the phone that she has that to remember, whatever it was that she wanted to talk about. That Echo girl, you know who I'm talking about, the A lady. She's also a great thing to have with your aging parents. Remember, you can drop in. So sometimes you need to just drop in and check on them, if they're willing to have you do that. She's a great resource to make a phone call to see. My mother sits in front of her and we have our great conversations. The alert button. Remember I talked about that? That's a great thing to ask if maybe they're willing to do that. And one thing I started doing is having phone numbers of neighbors, local police, fire department, and relatives. I make sure I have all those phone numbers because if I can't get there to my mom in a um, quick enough time, someone, whoever's the closest to her, I want to make sure they can get to her. So I have those phone numbers and I have them in my phone. Those are the great things, the many things that we can do to make sure we make the time that we have with our parents very pleasant and we make it great for them. So I hope this has helped you. I hope you enjoyed my wonderful story up front. And I have so many more that I could share with you. I'm so glad you were able to hang out with me today on our ringside chat. Listen, you are amazing. And if you haven't done so already, make sure to hit subscribe or follow, whichever it is on your end, so you won't miss a single episode. One more thing I want you to do for me, and that's visit masteringyourmonday.com/pathway. I have this awesome challenge coming up, and you can click and join it right there on that page. It's a challenge to reclaim your time. Listen, I know you're busy and I know there's so much going on in your life, but there is a way that you can't don't feel torn between the things that are important to you in your passion and the things that are important to you with your family and other things that are in your life. There's a way that you can do it all and have it all, but you need to learn or you want to learn how to reclaim your time. And that's what this challenge is all about. It's a free challenge for 5 days. I'm going to help you reclaim your time and move forward. Make sure you let me know how I can serve you further. And that is the place to do it. Until next time, take care. This is Michelle O'Neill, Mastering Your Monday podcast. Bye bye. I want to thank you for listening to the Mastering Your Monday podcast. I hope you learned at least one tip or technique you can walk away with and implement today. Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review the show and let us know how much you enjoyed it and what you learned from this episode. We honor your time and your commitment to Mastering Your Monday podcast. And as always, we want to remind you, you are cherished, respected, valued, and in control. See you on the next episode.